Well, it's another gorgeous day in July. I think it's going to be a day in the kitchen. I got my Haskaps washed last night, the last pail, so they're cleaned and ready to go. I just made some of my favorite scones for breakfast, but actually had them for lunch. The electrician was here to hardwire the Generac, so we don't have to rely on the portable generator when the power goes out. And so I'm going to get started making some of the Haskap curd and some more Haskap banana jam. And I might take a little trip out back and see what the apples and everything are looking like. But honestly, that crazy attack bird is driving me bananas, and now Rusty is attacking Sadie when she goes outside. So I'm walking around like a crazy person with an umbrella or a cane to whack at the bird and whack at the rooster. And anyway, it's getting really annoying and really old really quick. But before I get started, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with your family and friends. And let's get started. Another thing I thought I would mention, I'm just looking at this recipe and I'm going to make a triple batch of the curd. Don't know how big a jar that'll fill, but I've got a bunch of jars sterilized. Each batch calls for 8 egg yolks, and I've got fresh eggs from a farmer down the road. So because I'm using 24 egg yolks, and I'm going to throw a few extra in because they're kind of small. That's a lot of egg whites, and I just hate pouring egg whites down the drain. So what I do is freeze them. So if I ever want to make meringues or pavlova, something like that, I have the egg whites. So I basically freeze them in little jars or big jars. So I freeze them in jars of a dozen egg whites so that I kind of can just grab a jar. The other thing, homemade angel food cake takes a dozen egg whites. So when I want to make an angel food cake, I hate throwing out the egg yolks. You really can't save the egg yolks in the fridge. It's not really that safe, so I often will try and find something in my recipe book like creme brulee to use up the egg yolks right away, but otherwise the egg yolks are not very easy to save. So but the egg whites are. They freeze well, and then you can use them for a lot of things. I like extra egg whites if I'm making a meringue pie, so that there's a lot more meringue on it than what the recipe calls for. So I always save my egg whites. I've got a couple of clean jars. I'm just putting some hot water and soap in them before I use them, and I'm going to put a dozen egg whites in each jar. Well, extra, because they're kind of small. But again, because they're fresh eggs, I definitely don't want to throw all these egg whites out. So I'll save them and make cake or something else with them later on. Well, that was a little painstaking, just separating all the egg whites and yolks. I've got all of my yolks in here. I probably could have gotten away with using a smaller pot this time, but after almost overflowing with the last batch of jam, I've just decided to go ahead and make the curd in this. And of course, as usual, I'm making more than I planned on. I'm doing 4 batches in one. Not sure how many jars I need, but I've got plenty of jars in the oven sterilizing anyway. And I'm just heating up the canning pot. It's a little difficult jostling with, I mean, this is an excessively large pan, so even on a 30-inch range, it's a little big, and of course that one's big too. But it works, and that's another thing I'm looking forward to with the wood-burning cook stove. And the reason we're putting the stovepipe straight out the wall at the back rather than through the ceiling is because you have a lot more surface space to put large pans like that on the cooktop with the wood stove. I don't want to give up any of that space on top. And after putting this wood stove through the ceiling, we've decided that if we were to do it again, we would put it through the wall and then up the outside. So that's what we're going to do with that wood stove. But I'm really curious. I made the scones this morning, and I'm really curious to try my range once I get the kitchen done, because it is the same range. It's unique, it's the stainless steel, but it's upgraded a little bit. And it's actually convection. This one's not convection. But for an oven that's not convection, this is an amazing oven. Absolutely awesome. Couldn't be happier with it. Probably the least expensive stove I've ever owned in my life. Well, it's Chris's, but anyway. The least expensive stove I've used in my whole life. And it's just amazing. That's my test for any oven, is to bake scones in them and see how the scones turn out. And that's my test for that. So anyway, I'm gonna get, I've got everything heating up now. Unfortunately, don't really want the heat turned on, but probably get the fan out and get this curd done, and then get going with my jam, and then that might be about it for jam making. Chris is out. He was gonna start on drilling holes to pull wire for the electrical, and the C-can was out of level by ½ inch, so he has jacked it, especially because it's empty. He's jacked it to get it level, because he had to do that with this tiny house, framed it when it was off level, so had to measure everything in it. That's really tedious. I mean, I don't even know how to do that, but anyway, I know he had to do it, and I know it was a lot more work than just holding a level on studs. So anyway, I'm going to get going with this curd and see how many jars I end up getting. And like I said before, this is to make the Haskap meringue pie. So you get the juice, and then you make the curd, and then there's a meringue top, rather than the lattice top pie that actually had the fruit in it. And then all the fruit that I saved from making the juice, I put it in the freezer because I didn't want to take a chance on them going bad, and I'm going to combine them with some other fruits and make a crumble. Maybe some blueberries and strawberries or something. So let's get going with the curd. So I thought I'd just show you the consistency of this. I don't know if you've ever, most of you have probably looked at lemon curd. It's in a jar. It's kind of like, almost like a gel. So this is, you know, this will set up kind of like lemon meringue pie. This is four times the recipe, so each recipe called for ½ a cup of butter, so I put a pound of butter in here. You melt it after everything thickens. So how could you go wrong with a pound of butter in there? So I'm just going to put it in the jars here now. The canner's heated up. And just a note, I had to dump out the water. I meant to do this a couple days ago, so I put my lids in there, and some of them started to rust. So that's part of the problem with, you know, kind of getting ready to do something and then not doing it right away. Fortunately, I have a lot of extra lids and rings, but there's a real shortage of them now, and most people that do any canning know that. It's really hard to find them. So anytime you can, grab them. I did a few months ago. So I'm just going to get this in the jars and in the canner, and then get on with my jam. So I ended up with 4 jars, which is about what I expected to end up with, and a little bit in there that I think will go awesome with plain scones and creme fraiche. It tastes like berries and butter mixed together with a ton of sugar. Actually, not that much sugar. I was kind of surprised. Not as much as jam. But anyway, it is absolutely amazing. Everything I've made with these Haskaps is amazing. So just going to put these 4 jars in the canner and get the jam started. I'm lagging a little bit here because I stepped on a bee that Chris had squashed and put in the garbage, and it crawled out and was on the black floor, and I stepped on it with my bare feet and stung me. So gotta get to the jam now that I've applied first aid to my poor foot. I think I might have done it again. I've got a little bit bigger batch here than... I basically mashed my bananas first to see how much bananas I had, and it was 4 cups, and I thought, okay, I'll see how many cups of berries I have left. And it was 12 cups, so 4 cups bananas, 12 cups of berries. I put in 14 cups of sugar, and I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. But this does look like it might boil and get a little bit too high again, so I might have to siphon some out, put it in a bowl, cook it. Anyway, I did it again. Another big batch. But anything with the banana in it, like I said, I just love. The first batch of banana Haskap jam, I did 4 cups of berries and 1 cup of banana, so it was a 5-to-1 ratio. This is a 3-to-1 ratio, so more banana-y, which makes me happy. And so we'll see how it turns out and if it sets up as well as the first batch. Because then I'll know you can kind of just mix and match. This should actually set up better because the Haskaps have so much pectin in them. So there's more, it's a 3-to-1 ratio instead of a 4-to-1 ratio. So there should be more pectin, so it should set up better. We'll see, won't we? I say that a lot, don't I? And before I forget, in case you didn't see the first batch I made, the girl at the Haskap farm, Brenda, did say to use an immersion blender to blend the berries because then the pectin works. If you like a chunky berry with the chunky fruit in it, it doesn't work that way. She said the pectin doesn't work as well. So I did do an immersion blender on the first batch, and I'm going to do that on this batch. I just thought because I showed the picture with the berries whole like this, I am going to cook it, but I'm also going to get the immersion blender out right now and blend it so that it's the pectin is evenly distributed. That's what she said to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Just wanted to let you know because I don't want you to leave the full berries like that and then have your jam not work out. Now that I've got it blended, you can see how full this pan is again, so I'm a little worried about that. Awesome giant wooden spoon that I got, I think at the Italian grocery store in Calgary when I was visiting the kids. Love this thing. Needed it when they were young, actually. But yeah, this is pretty full. But I'm going to turn it on, get it boiling, and get this processed. And then I got a stack of dishes to do. Always got to do the dishes and the pots, and it's a little challenging. Like I said, doing this in a tiny kitchen, but that's just the way it is. My kitchen's going to have more room, which is nice, but like I said, for a tiny kitchen, this is pretty well designed. And again, you're not walking all over the place. Very tiny triangle, and makes it a lot more efficient. So anyway, gonna get this cooking and get it in the jars. You can see on the side of the pan how, you know, you can see all the pulp from the berries, from the skins in there. And like Brenda said, that's where you get the, I guess that's, well, I'm not sure if the pectin is in the skin. But this is really, really nice and thick, even before cooking it. So I think it's really going to set up nicely. I hope so. And I like doing jams like this that are different, like I say, from the standard strawberry, blueberry, raspberry. The ones that I sold at my shop in Ontario were very, very popular. The strawberry margarita, it had tequila and triple sec in it. You could taste it, it was really good. And then the strawberry banana, blueberry banana, and cranberry banana. I didn't make any other jams. I only made those because they're different than everybody else was selling. I don't want to sell the same thing that everybody else is selling. So, and I love banana. I love anything with banana in it. So these are my favorite jams. And of course, as soon as I got the Haskaps, I got to make Haskap banana jam. Brenda actually at the farm said she would be interested in trying that too. So anyway, that I'm going to get that cooked up now and in the jars and in the canner. We'll see how many jars I get. It'll be interesting to see. Because again, I can't find my recipe books. I'm just kind of winging this. My binder that has all my favorite canning recipes in it, my Bernardin book, I can't find any of them. Other than this one that I showed you on an earlier video. So I'm kind of winging it, and I'm not adding any pectin to this because of what Brenda said about there being so much pectin in it. Didn't add pectin to the first batch. Like I say, there's more of a ratio of berries in this one, so I'm not adding pectin in this one either. And that's really nice too, because you know, you're making jam the old-fashioned way, the way I did with the apple jelly last year, and you don't have the expense of adding the pectin. So that's really nice too. One thing that I thought I'd mention, it was the video I made, the cherry jam, that it was foaming up almost over the top of this pan. And most jams you do get a lot of foam off them. This Haskap berry doesn't seem to make foam, even though it's like the same amount of sugar, like tons of sugar, but it doesn't seem to foam when it cooks the way the other berries do. And all berries do that. So I find that really interesting. I mean, I usually lose a couple of jars just because, like I had 2 cereal bowls full of foam when I did the cherry jam, and I ended up throwing it in the garbage. Like, we'll often put it on toast or pancakes or whatever, but we just don't eat that much of it anymore. Or toast and pancakes. Chris does, but I don't. So, but I just find it really interesting that this stuff doesn't seem to get the foam on it like the other berries, which is nice too, because you don't lose a couple of jars. First of all, you're not using the pectin, so it's not as expensive, and you're not losing a couple of jars just to foam. So, better yield too. Just thought I'd mention that. So you can see I have a full rolling boil now, and it isn't foaming like other jams. So it's definitely not going to boil over the edge of this pan, which probably would have come close if it had been another berry, like the cherries or strawberries or blueberries that always get so much foam on them. And this one isn't. Like, it's weird, really weird. Different, that's for sure. But this is boiling really good, so I'm just going to let it go for another minute or so, and then start putting it in the jars. Yummy. And it is much more banana-y this time, which I love. Well, my last 4 cans or jars of jam are out of the canner. I've got the dishes started. Dog's driving me crazy. I think we should go out and see what Chris has been up to. I don't know if he's out there just making a bunch of noise to make it seem like he's working, or if he's actually doing something. So I think we better go check. You know, these construction crews, what they're like. Rusty's right out the door too, and I'm trying to keep Sadie away from him. But let's go out and see what's going on in the tiny house. I think he's putting some of the boxes in place and screwing the... I think the ceiling trusses in place. They weren't done yet. But I think he's getting some of that done, and we've got to discuss some more wiring placements. So have a look. It's my favorite time of day. I don't know why that thing won't stop growing. 7:15, there's a beautiful breeze out, and it's still really nice out, so let's go check on things. What do you say, Rusty? He was crowing outside the bedroom windows yesterday morning, I think it was. Do you really? They keep coming and pooping on the doormats. You have to clean them off almost every day. Driving me nuts. Just gonna take my trusty broom to fend off the crazy bird. Keeps diving at me. Look at, he's right up there in the tree, chirping to the other one to come and get me. Chris thinks it's funny until it claws his head, then it's not so funny. Oh yeah, look at that. It's got a box in place there. I was just wondering if you were just making noise to make it sound like you were working out here. Why do I smell WD-40?
Yeah, paint there.
Oh, paint thinner.
Paint on the sticky.
Any chickens laying eggs in here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got sap all over his clothes. So we've got a bunch of the boxes in place today, holes drilled. So yeah, boxes in the utility room for the fridge.
Water line.
Oh, look look at that. You can see them from here because the sun's shining through them. The hole's all drilled for the water lines. Might even get some steel cut pretty soon here. It's going to be awesome to see this window opening cut because the wall will be here. Where? Right there. No, right there, in between those two studs. The partition wall. So the window goes all the way down here, and then the stove and fridge is on this side, so it's going to let in a lot of daylight. I'm actually thinking wherever I end up placing this tiny house, I might not put the, yeah, he's got the holes all drilled to run the wiring down the bathroom walls here too. I might not put the kitchen window facing south. When we were building the other tiny house, everybody that was looking at the pictures online said, you need more windows. That one window almost roasts us alive. And that's with flowy glass, an extra film put on it that's supposed to deflect the sun, and the blind, and it still roasts us alive. So I'm actually having misgivings about putting this kitchen window facing south. Like I would even face it north. It's that bad. So we're actually going to use the cutout from Chris's window, because we kept it, to make an awning to try and help in the summer. The thermometer outside the window, it goes like past 50 Celsius, you know, to 55 or something, and then it doesn't go any further. So it gets so hot on that side of the tiny house. When I go into my bedroom, there's a tiny window facing this way, which is east, and then a small window facing west. I go in there on the hottest days, like when it was really ridiculously hot. It was stifling in there, but for the most part, when I go in there, it's nice and cool, even on a hot day. So it makes a huge difference which way you have your windows facing. And this one is a foot wider than Chris's, but it's shorter because I want those cabinets above. But it's still gonna roast me alive. So, don't know. I will really give that a lot of thought when I figure out where I'm gonna put this thing, because I don't know if I want it facing south now. You'll get daylight no matter which way it's facing, so I'd rather it be nice and cool inside, especially in the kitchen. I mean, when you have that and then you have the oven and the burners on, it is absolutely unbearable. Like with that heat wave that we had, we just couldn't cook. You just can't. And mostly because of that window. So, and then of course the air conditioner has to work so much harder too. So something to think about, you know. If you're doing passive solar and the window is big enough to heat like slate floors and that sort of thing, you know, that's an advantage, but that's not what we're doing. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm pretty happy. He's got all the holes drilled to pull the wire and boxes in place, and you know, it's something. This isn't the glamorous, exciting stuff, but everything that gets me one step closer to where I want to be makes me happy. So anyway, let's go out and see if we can look at the garden without getting attacked by that horrible bird. It actually waits for me. I just saw him go by. Seriously, I'm taking the corn broom with me, or an umbrella, or a cane. Hush up, Rusty. Go do your thing. We want eggs. Now, you see it's up on top of that little weather vane? It likes to sit up there too, and it just happens to be in the exact right spot to poop on the padlock for the barn, shed, whatever you want to call it. Oh, we should look at the potatoes today. Chris finally got those two little evergreens planted too on the other side of the parking pad there. But look at these potatoes. You can certainly see the rows now. And if you haven't seen the other videos, we used the Ruth Stop method to plant these. Quite a few blossoms in the last day or so. And so we put all the hay and straw that Chris cut from all the property here on here, a 30 by 40 foot square. And I think we're going to pile more on because you can see where some grasses come through, and we put a ton on there too. So some grass did still come through, but really, really pleased with the potato patch. What do you think, Rusty? This one hen, that's Chris's hen. He's calling her Gertie, that has that little feather sticking out the side of her. And it's staying there, which is really weird because that's how we identify her. We actually think that, Chris said when he was working in the tiny house yesterday, she was in there with him all day. She follows him everywhere. And so she was in there with him all day. And then we think we might have locked her in there when we went to town. Look at me carrying my broom around. People are going to make a lot of jokes about this, but seriously, that bird, I just want to whack it. But anyway, we think that she may have been locked in there when we went to town. And that's when she laid her egg. So I think like she's coming to Chris and giving him a gift, an egg, because she seems to just love him. Neighbors must be doing target practice today. Lots of gunshot. Nice thing about being in the country, you can do that. So anyway, look at this. Look at the zucchinis. I mean, they're just everywhere in here. So, lots and lots of zucchini. I saw online someone was writing in to one of the canning pages asking about a pickled zucchini recipe that she got last year and can't find it. And I was thinking, what in the heck am I going to do with all these zucchinis? So I will have to look. It had zucchinis and a bunch of other stuff in it too. She posted a picture and it was really nice looking. So I thought, well, I never thought about doing that, but I might have to think about that. Other than chocolate zucchini cake, and of course my first thought is always something with tons of sugar in it and completely unhealthy. I got to turn the healthiest thing on the planet into something completely unhealthy. But they always follow me into the garden too. I guess it's my fault they're in the garden. Anyway, I'm going to have to figure out something to do with all these zucchinis. Because I don't think we're going to get a root cellar done in time. It would mean not stopping work on my tiny house to get the root cellar done. That'll never do. But we really do need a root cellar. I think everybody these days needs a root cellar. They just don't know it yet. But I'm just looking down the row here and look at this. Look at this. I don't know whether it's cucumber or squash down there, but it's actually encompassed two other rows that thankfully stuff didn't come up. The beets behind me here look really nice too. But yeah, the chickens have all followed me into the garden again, for Pete's sake. But super happy with the zucchinis. Let's see what else. Oh my goodness, there's so many bees around here. Let me just get my broom. If only I could ride this thing around the property. There are so many blossoms on that. That's chicken poop on my bean too. Now that little bugger just pecked some of my carrots. You're going in the freezer. Go lay some eggs. Go on. Rusty. They love to peck the onions and garlic. You are a bad boy. Go. He's so big now too. They are so strong. And like I said yesterday, I can't have him attacking Sadie unprovoked. Like, look at this side of this. So this is actually encompassing, look at them just walking through the squash like it's a forest. It is. It's a forest of squash or cucumber or something. More gunshots. Anyway, so it's gone across 2 other rows over there, and it's coming over to the onions here, like past the carrots and over the onions. So this is getting a little crazy. Anyway, like I said before, I honestly don't care what I get out of this garden. I am not weeding it this year, and that's all it's gonna take to make me happy. You chickens. Oh, I'm gonna have to put the camera away now. You can hear the coyotes again across the road. They're pretty scary. We're having a real bee problem here. Oh, there they are. I don't know if I'm gonna get cabbage out of these things or not. They do look like cabbage leaves. Those are the ones that were free. These beets, I'm gonna have to, look at the size of that one. It's lifting the tarp up. Yep, there's our friends. Look at the chicken poop right here, like seriously? And look at the tomato plants again. I am gonna have to come out and trim these again. They're crazy. Yikes. They don't seem to come on the property, which is kind of interesting. It's a good thing. But yeah, everything's doing, oh, I didn't even notice these. These are the little tiny beets that I got free at Home Hardware. And just in, Rusty, get out of there. Come on, get. Go on. You're not gonna eat those two, you devil. Look at this. It's another chicken walking through like the cucumber forest. Holy smokes. And no, not the beans either. Oh, I'm gonna have to go and get these stupid chickens out of here. Oh my goodness. Oh. Go on. He's too big to go through the netting now, I think. The girls will just, if you rush them, they'll go through the netting. Look at him. Yeah, get over there, you. Holy smokes. Yeah, you better run. Any chickens left in the cucumbers? Good Lord. Let's go see the babies before I log off for the day. They're so cute. Of course, these guys were cute too when they were little. It's like my kids, they were cute too when they were little. That wore off. Oh, and look at this, like they don't get fed enough. There's the babies. They're so big. And we don't know what we're getting yet. So that one there, the yellow one with the black feathers, is kind of interesting. Oh my goodness. These ones, they're just getting so big. Another week and they'll be able to go outside. Those ones have some interesting colors too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to log off and go chase some chickens. I think I've got them all out of the garden now. But go get the rest of the dishes done and more gunshots. Gunshots and coyotes. That might be what they're after. Because there are a lot of cattle out here that I'm surprised the coyotes don't get more cattle. But anyway, I'm going to log off for today. Christopher needs some help. Must need somebody to hold the dumb end of the tape measure. So that's it for today. Like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with your family and friends. And we will see you next time.